Hi, in this video we'll learn how to multiply integers, how to multiply more than two integers at a time. So far we have learned how to multiply two integers. This time we'll learn how to multiply more than two integers. So in case if you have not seen my previous video, I would recommend you to watch that video first before you jump to this one. Now let's talk about the basic rules of multiplying integers. So whenever you have to multiply numbers with like signs, you get positive result. And whenever you multiply the numbers with opposite signs, you get negative result. So these are the two rules which you have to remember. Now this rules work if you have two positive signs. Suppose if you have two positive signs. So let's write here. Two positive signs will obviously generate positive result. And here order doesn't matter. So suppose if you have a negative number first and then you multiply that by the positive number, you're still gonna get the negative result. So the basic rule is whenever you multiply numbers with like signs, you get positive result, and whenever you multiply numbers with opposite signs, you get negative result. And there's also a general rule for this, that even number of negative signs, suppose if you have even number of negative signs in an expression, even number of negative signs will generate positive result. An odd number of negative signs will generate negative result. So this is the general rule which I will use in this video. So I would recommend this one, and I'll tell you why would I like to use this. So even number of negative signs will generate positive result, and odd number of negative signs will generate negative results. So let's take a look at the first example I have here. I have 15 times negative 3 times negative 1. Now, first of all, what I'll do is I'll count the number of negative signs in this expression. So I have one negative sign, two negative signs, and I know that 2 is an even number. So what I'll do is 2 is an even number, and even number of negative sign will generate positive results. So I know for sure that my answer will be positive. So I don't have to worry about the signs, because it's not necessary to write a positive sign in front of a number. Like suppose if you have 2 will be considered as positives because it's not having any sign in front of it. That's why it is positive. So here I know that my answer will be positive, so I just have to multiply my integers. So I'll multiply 15 times 3. Just do the normal multiplication. 15 times 3 will give you 45, and 45 times 1 will give me 45. Okay, and my answer is positive, so that I don't have to write the sign in front of it. Now you can use this method. Now I'll tell you how to use this method. Now 15 and negative 3. So let's pick these two numbers first and work on this, because we have to move from left to right. Always move from left to right when you're multiplying dividing. So here I have 15 times negative 3. Now 15 is positive, 3 is negative, and I know that the opposite signs, when you multiply numbers with the opposite sign, you get negative result. So you know that when you multiply these two numbers, you will get negative result. Now 15 times 3 will be 45. So you just write the sign first and then you can multiply. So now you multiply, 15 times 3 will give you 45. Now you're done multiplying this, but you are left with negative 1 here. So I will write negative 1 here. Now I'll include this in the parentheses since it's negative. Now I have two numbers and both have the same signs. I have the numbers with the like sign. So I know that my end result will be positive. So I don't have to worry about the sign. I'll just ignore the sign. Now I just have to multiply the numbers. So 45 times 1 will give me 45. Now you can use this method, but it's a little bit lengthy. You have to solve it step by step. But if your teacher wants you to solve step by step, you can use this method. But if you don't need to show your work, you can just use this method and write the answer directly. That's why I like this method. This is really quick. You just count the number of negative signs and see whether it's even or odd, and you know that what your end result will be. What your end result will be, you know that. Now let's take a look at another example. Suppose I have this negative times negative 6. Now whenever you have a negative sign outside the parentheses, you can assume that it's negative 1. Now you just have to multiply -1 times -6. Now how many signs do you see here? You have two negative signs, and 2 is an even number, and I know that even number of negative sign will generate positive results. So I know that my answer will be positive. Now I don't have to worry about the sign. Now just multiply the numbers. Now 1 times 6, ignore the sign now because you know that your answer will be positive. Now just multiply the numbers. 1 times 6 will give me 6. So my final answer will be 6. Or if you go by this method, you have two signs, two same signs. You have two like signs. Both the signs are same. So you know that your answer will be positive. So you can just ignore the signs since your answer will be positive. And then you multiply both numbers. 1 times 6 will give you 6. So either method is okay. Now next example is I have -7 times -2. Now again, whenever you have the negative sign outside the parentheses, you can assume that it's -1. Now here, how many signs do you have? How many negative signs do you have? You have 1, 2, and 3 negative signs. And we know that 3 is an odd number. Now, odd number of negative signs will generate negative result. I know that my answer will be negative, so I'll put the negative sign in front of it. Most of the people used to just multiply first and then put the negative sign. Well, you can do that, but if you're the person who keeps forgetting the signs, then I would recommend you to use this method. First put the sign and then write the number by multiplying the integers. So now we know that this will be negative. Now you just multiply the numbers. 1 times 7 will give me 7, and 7 times 2 will give me 14. So my answer will be -14. If you use this method, you can multiply these two numbers first. Now you know that both numbers have the same signs. They have the like signs. Whenever you see numbers with like signs and you multiply them, you get positive results. So you know that 1 times 7, -1 times -7 will give you +7 because you have two signs which are same, so you'll get the positive result. Now here, then you have -2. You're left with -2. Now you have to multiply 7 times -2. Now 7 is a positive number. 2 is a negative number. Whenever you multiply numbers with opposite signs, you get negative results. So you know that the answer will be negative. You put the negative sign in front of it. And then you just multiply the numbers, ignoring the signs. 7 times 2 will give you 14. And you still get the same answer. You see that in both the situations, you get the same answer. Let's take a look at another example here. This time I have -1 times -8 times -2 times -5. Now here, what you can do is you can make the pairs, 2 pairs, and then multiply it, or just count the number of signs. How many signs do you have? 1, 2, 3, and 4. I know that 4 is an even number. An even number of negative sign will generate the positive result. Now I know for sure that my answer will be positive, so I don't have to worry about the signs. I will ignore the signs and just multiply the numbers. 1 times 8 will give me 8. 8 times 2 will give me 16. And 16 times 5 will give me 80. So my answer will be 80. And that will be +80. So now here, what you can do is you can make the pairs and then try to multiply. -1 times -8. You have the same signs. Whenever you multiply the number with the like signs, you get positive results. So -1 times -8 will generate positive results. So you just multiply 1 times 8, you get 8. And you know that your answer will be positive, so don't have to worry about it. Now here, then you can put the multiplication sign, the -2 times -5. Here also you have the numbers with the like signs. So you know that your end result will be positive. So you don't have to put the positive sign in front. Just multiply the numbers. 2 times 5 will give you 10. Now here, both the numbers are positive, and the positive, when you have the numbers with the like signs, they'll just generate positive results. So 8 times 10 will give you 80. So you get the same answer in both the situations. Now let's take a look at this example. I have 2 times -1 times 2 times 10. Here, how many negative signs do you have? You just have one negative sign. 1 is an odd number. Now, odd number of negative signs will generate negative result. I know for sure that my answer will be negative, so I'll put the negative sign in front of it. Now I'll ignore the signs. I don't have to worry about them. Just multiply the numbers from left moving to right. 2 times 1 will give me 2. 2 times 2 will give me 4. 4 times 10 will give me 40. So I will write here 40. So my final answer will be negative 40. Well, you can just multiply these two numbers by pairing. Let's pair it. Well, 2 times negative 1. Now you have the numbers with the opposite sign since 2 is positive. So number with the opposite signs will generate negative result. So your answer will be negative 2 times 1. Now just multiply the numbers. 2 times 1 will be 2. Now here, you put the multiplication sign in between. Now you have two positive numbers. So don't worry about the signs because two positive numbers, when you multiply two positive numbers, you'll get positive results. So 2 times 10 will give you 20. Now here you have one number is negative, the other number is positive. Whenever you have to multiply a number with the opposite signs, you get negative results. So here your answer will be negative. Now just ignore the sign and multiply. 2 times 20 will give you 40. So that will be your final answer.